Is this why you want to end up back in Montana? I think I'm on to you now. You wanna own your own ranch, be an outlaw. It's just all making sense now.
I mean, yeah, I do. It is the dream is to own a cattle ranch.
Brand isn't something you earn, it's something you live up to.
We have Lila Rose with us all the way from Wilbur, Washington, joining us with Bandwagon TV's Joyride. How you doing today, Lila?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. You know, I'm glad that we have you on because you have some big news with today that I cannot wait to get into. And you've actually, in young life, you've lived a very interesting life. And I wanted to bring up something very cool when stalking your social media is that you attended the famous Belmont University in Nashville. If you're not familiar with that, it's well known for songwriters and singers. So, Lila, if you can, for our audience, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your musical influences, a little bit about your background, and then I guess how you ended up in Nashville?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, I'm from Wilbur, Washington. Wilbur is a town of about 800 people over on the east side of Washington, so kind of like a desert. We live in a country farming area, not at all like the rainy Seattle side. But I grew up here. I graduated with like 40 kids, and music has been a part of my life as long as I can remember. I've been singing for as long as I can remember, been writing songs since I was about 9 years old, and I just really fell in love with it at such a young age and decided really early on that music was what I wanted to pursue, which was kind of like almost a sin where I come from because everyone here kind of ends up back in Wilbur kind of doing the same exact thing, whether it's like farming, teaching, being a nurse. So for me to want to pursue music, that was kind of unheard of, and people were like, oh, like, you know, I hope that works out for you. So I made a decision to move to Nashville. I figured that moving there for school was going to be a good reason to move across the country, and I'm really glad that I made that decision and didn't just decide to uproot my life later on and move to Nashville. But yeah, I guess before I get into Belmont, a little bit about my music influences. I grew up listening to country music. I also grew up singing in like church choirs and everything, so I guess that could have a little influence on my music too. But I always loved the really old country singers, so like Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Guy Clark, Chris Christopherson. Loved them so much, always loved their sound, and decided that that was really where I felt most comfortable, and that was the music that I wanted to be making. I tried for a while to get into the pop country and just didn't feel like I was being authentic to myself or really being truthful to anyone else. So I went back into the outlaw country Americana world. My biggest influence is Townes Van Zandt as a songwriter. He is absolutely incredible, and I mean, I can only ever dream of being as good as him, but I'm pretty sure every songwriter can only ever dream of being as good as him. But yeah, so that's kind of where my musical background comes from, just listening to country music, my way of life growing up. And then, yeah, I made it to Belmont in Nashville and got into the songwriting program. The songwriting program you actually have to apply separately to get into, and they have a pretty low acceptance rate. So I applied as a senior in high school, got in on my first application, and got the news while I was in science class and broke down crying in my science classroom because I just couldn't believe that I had gotten in. Yeah, attended, and it was awesome. I mean, honestly, my classes, I had actual songwriting classes. I would get to go to school every day and be learning something that I was passionate about and that I truly loved. And our teachers, you know, are Grammy award-winning songwriters, so I don't think I could get any better than that. Belmont, I loved Belmont, honestly. We had a few issues here and there, but I mean, who doesn't have a few issues with their college? And it was never with the songwriting department. I would give the world to the songwriting department because they are incredible. But Nashville is where things got tricky. Nashville had always been my dream city, and then I moved there and quickly found out that it was not at all what I had expected. And, you know, I just figured that if you're making music, not that you're gonna succeed in Nashville. I knew that, you know, it's a lot of work, but if you were making music, good music, people were going to appreciate that. And, you know, I was playing shows in Nashville, I was writing with people, I was sending my music places, and people were always really impressed with my songwriting. but they always told me that they could never do anything with it because I wasn't commercial country. Like, I'm not the country that you're going to hear on the radio. I was in a songwriting competition, was one of the finalists, got told by the judges that my songwriting was up there with Townes Van Zant's songwriting without them even knowing that he was one of my biggest inspirations. And they said, yeah, you know, you're one of the best songwriters we've heard in a while, but we can't do anything with you. So that was a little heartbreaking, but I realized that Nashville just, I guess, wasn't the place for me. So following in Willie Nelson's footsteps, I guess, I left Nashville.
You definitely are.
I'm in Austin, Texas now.
It isn't for everyone. I'm not an expert on Nashville and Nashville country, but your story, it sounds like a lot like Willie's and others. You know, it's sometimes you're looking for a particular sound. How long were you there actually in Nashville?
I was there for 4 years. So Belmont is a 4-year university, got a 4-year degree, didn't stay any longer. I left the day after I graduated, so.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that, you know, I'm sure Wilbur is glad to have you back. And so are you doing a lot of touring up there in the Northwest?
I've done a couple shows. I just play around at bars. I did the Festival of America, which is in Cooley Dam. So if anyone's ever heard of the Grand Cooley Dam, it's in front of that. It was a big 4th of July festival. I've done that for a few years now and loved it. And then other than that, yeah, I just play at bars, play at street markets, street festivals. I have another festival coming up this fall that I'll be playing at, but I'm actually getting married next month. So most of my time has been consumed with wedding planning. So I'm just trying to put in shows here and there. But after next month, I should be much more open to playing shows.
Well, congratulations on the wedding news.
Thank you.
I'm just glad that you were able to share all that, especially with the Belmont and your experience in Nashville, and obviously now your news of getting married next month. And you know, I just saw that on your social media that you had, and even on your website, you had mentioned that you were the vice president of the Songwriter Association at Belmont, and that's a huge accomplishment right there. So I'm just glad that you're on Bandwagon TV, and I'm glad that we're able to tell your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, I love sharing my story with people, especially because I feel like I'm still just getting started, even though this has been in the making for years, but I you know, the music industry takes years. I'm always excited to share my story with people.
Yes, I'm like here we are with Willie Nelson again. I mean, it took him, you know, a few years to really find his stride. But Lila, I appreciate everything that you had to say, but we have to pull over because we are about to get into the lightning round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. We're going to pull over the white lightning. As we get into it, before the lightning round, we ask all artists, independent musicians, find it hand in hand with local businesses. Is there a local business that you want to plug with us today?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's actually a local business here in Wilbur called Rustic Refresh Designs. The owner, her name is Kathy, is a friend of mine, and she takes old denim jackets, vintage denim jackets, and repurposes them more customs. Like I have one here, she adds like Pendleton wool to it, and I got another one. This is my favorite, it's brand new. It's got like this cool cowboy scene on the back. She's incredible, so talented, has the coolest jackets, and she just has an Etsy shop. I mean, you can buy them here in person in Wilbur, but she has an Etsy shop. She's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, just at Rustic Refresh Designs. Huge supporter of my music and really sharing my music updates on her business page, so the least that I can do is give back and shout her out here.
Yeah, well that is very cool. Well, thank you very much for plugging her business, and that's a cool jacket. I think I need one. And my wife is like shaking her head, she needs one too. So we might have to plug her a few times. We are plugging a local barbecue shop. Barbecue, it's Young's Barbecue and More, and they are here local. We live outside of Austin in a town called Lampasas. Actually, it's the city of Lampasas, and you can find them on our website, bandwagontv.com. Great story, a family-owned business that is very successful here in town. But here we go. We're gonna start the lightning round. Lila Rose, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So, you just told me, I mean, you're, I think, a songwriter first, and then singer. I mean, I can just tell you just appreciate a good song. And so I had two outlaws that I wanted to mention that you had to pick between one of these. I almost want to change one of them, but we're going to go with this. Willie Nelson or Christopherson?
Oh, Willie Nelson, hands down. I mean, I love Christopherson, but I just look up to and idolize Willie Nelson so much. Like, he's like such a cool person. I mean, not that I've ever met him, but it is a dream of mine to meet him, and I'm hoping that happens soon.
Okay.
Sorry, Chris Christopherson.
Yeah.
Willie Nelson has to win.
Okay, well, how about this? How about Willie Nelson or Van Zandt?
I think I would pick Townes Van Zandt.
Okay.
Just because of his songwriting. And I mean, a lot of Willie Nelson's songs are Townes Van Zandt songs, so have to go with him.
Okay. And then, so that was I should have added that, but you threw me a curveball with Townes. How about this, more current, and this isn't on the list, but I noticed that you're a big Chris Stapleton fan, or are you a bigger Tyler Childers fan?
I'm probably now a bigger Tyler Childers fan. Chris Stapleton was who I was really listening to before I got super into like the outlaw country world, just because he was the closest sound that I was getting to what the kind of music that I wanted to listen to. And then I discovered Tyler Childers, and I think I could sing every single Tyler Childers song from memory. So I would love to meet him too.
I kind of wanted to bring him up, and now this wasn't written down, but because now I thought maybe you were still in Nashville, knowing that you went back and really away from the whole commercial pop scene. Tyler Childers and you got like Sturgill Simpson and others, they kind of just fit that, the whole independent music scene, especially up there. Is that a big influence too, being back in Washington?
I think so. I did decide when I was in Nashville, the dream was to always be signed to a record label or signed to a publishing company as an artist or as a songwriter. But while I was in Nashville, I realized that maybe that wasn't the route for me, and that wasn't what I wanted, and that I would much rather just go about this independently. And I feel like I have a lot more time and energy doing that, being away from Nashville, because Nashville has such a pressure on you, be constantly out looking for record deals and constantly out looking for publishing deals, that it kind of takes the passion away from music. Because you're just writing what everybody else wants to hear. It's like when I'm here, I can write what I want to write, and then if people want to listen to it, that's great. I think that's what music should be. It should be full of passion, because like I always say, music with no passion isn't good music. So definitely being back pushes me a little bit more to follow in their footsteps and be more of an independent artist.
Yeah, I love that too, what you just said. Okay, so again, back into snooping around, and then we got to go into the lightning round. That was like more of a side note there, a long one, but we really appreciate that answer. But we noticed that you are a movie lover, but now you have this whole now new renegade type of outlaw, I guess, personality. So, would you rather star in your own outlaw movie or write and perform and sing in a romantic comedy soundtrack?
Oh, I think I'd rather star in my own outlaw movie. This is gonna sound so weird, but I always dreamed of being like a Wild West outlaw. Which is funny because my dad is the chief of police back home. So like, I grew up really strict, following the rules. Was like a really good kid, but it was always a dream of mine to be like a Wild West outlaw. So yeah, I would want to star in one of those movies. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Well, great. I love that answer. Okay. Now, you've taken control, you're behind the wheel of the White Lightning, you're going coast to coast, but you need a co-pilot. So we always ask our guests, they need to pick one musician, dead or alive. Who do you got?
I think, especially if it's dead or alive, I think I would want to take the road trip with Townes Van Zandt, just because I feel like I could learn so much from him. And he wasn't on this earth for very long, which is really unfortunate, but I feel like there was a lot more to be learned from him, a lot more that he could have shared with us. And I mean, I don't even know if he was really trying to be super profound with his songs, but he ended up doing that, and I would just love to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would not mind driving across the country with him.
Yeah, and I don't know much. I mean, I know his songs. I don't know much in terms of his personality. So, do you? Was he a personable guy or a quiet? He seemed like a quiet guy.
Yeah, I think, I don't know a ton about him, like personality-wise, but I also think that he was pretty quiet. I know that he had some issues dealing with like mental illness and that kind of thing. Honestly, like I've been down that same road, and so we're gonna be real here, and so I just think that we would have a good conversation and maybe relate a lot. So yeah, he's just someone that I really wish I could have had a conversation with at some point.
And now Townes is going through your phone. Is he gonna find something that would surprise us on a musical playlist, or maybe even embarrass you?
I have a lot of movie scores on my phone, so like just instrumental music, which I don't know if that's really weird. I love music and I love listening to music even if there's no words. But like most of my music is that I listen to, on my phone is outlaw countries, the classics.
Do you have a favorite score?
Yes. Are you familiar with the show Yellowstone?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's my favorite TV show at the moment, and the score behind that show is absolutely incredible, which I guess makes sense as to why I would listen to it because it's very Western sounding. So I guess maybe that's not very surprising. But I always like apologize when I have friends in the car because we're listening to my music and then all of a sudden it's just like this really dramatic film score that comes on.
Is this why you want to end up back in Montana? I think I'm on to you now. You wanna own your own ranch, be an outlaw. It's just all making sense
Well,
now.
if ranching's so hard, how come we do it?
Because it's one hell of a life, Tate. One hell of a life.
I mean, yeah, I do. It is the dream is to own a cattle ranch, but I had that dream before Yellowstone came out. No one believes me on that. My family, my parents grew up raising cattle and everything too. It just happened to be my generation that didn't have a farm, or didn't have a ranch, so I missed out on that. But cows are my absolute favorite animal, which is another fun fact about me. So I've always dreamed of having a cattle ranch, and I've been to almost every state in the United States, and Montana is hands down my favorite so far, and that's also my fiance's favorite state. So yeah, we've always wanted to head back there, and then Yellowstone happened, and we're like, oh man, like that just made it even better.
You did great. The lightning round. Look at you, you're a pro. But now this is on you. You have big news, and I wanted to let you announce this because it came out today. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so I actually just released my very first single today. It's called Life Lived Wrong. I have never released music before, so this was a long time coming, and I'm so excited to be able to share my music with the world. This song, is a very personal song about me and my life and what I've learned the past couple years, so it's really my heart and soul just being put out for everyone to hear, and I couldn't be more excited. If you're watching this and you want to listen to a new song, you should definitely go listen to Life Lived Wrong by Lila. It's on pretty sure every single streaming platform.
Well, this episode is pre-recorded, but it is out today. So when you are watching it, it's already available. You go download it, go listen to it, go stream it. Help Lila out. Lila, how do we follow you, listen to you?
So you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Those are my main social media profiles, and both of them are just Lila Rose Music. I try to keep it all pretty simple and the same for all of my social media, but those are my two main ones. So follow me there, and you can find links to my music there. I post videos, I post show updates. So if you find yourself up in the Washington area or later on down, this year in Austin, Texas area, be watching out for my social media for show updates.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
Watch me play.
That would be great. Well, Lila, thank you so much for joining us, but we have to unfortunately kick you out. And I'm so glad you're so well known in Wilbur because I'm not afraid that I'm sure you'll get a ride. But we have to kick you out because we got other places and people to see. All we ask before we kick you to the roadside is a song. Is there any way we can get a song from you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would actually love to share a little acoustic version of Life Lived Wrong, if that is okay.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Left that town with a finger up in the air, and at that point I'm sure people figured out that I really didn't care, 'cause I let a few harsh words slip through my lips like a finger on a trigger, and I lost a few friends, but at that time I never thought that I would miss them. Well, I've come to terms with all the things I've done. I call them lessons I moved out here for my own selfish needs. But now I'm writing songs full of words that don't mean a damn thing. Just like wild horses run, I was trying to chase the sun, but running only led me to a place I don't belong. Can't say I regret a single thing I've done. Just call them lessons of a life I lived wrong. A life lived wrong. Never feel at home, no matter where I go. I'd say that it's this world, but maybe there's something wrong with my soul. 'Cause all I ever do is put the blame on what surrounds me, instead of thinking that I could be the reason I'm unhappy. Oh, what if I really am the reason I'm unhappy? Well, I guess that explains all the things I've done. Call that a lesson of a life I'm living wrong. I'm living wrong.
There we go, that's Lila Rose, and that is her new single. It's available now, so make sure you download, stream, and do you have a YouTube channel? I didn't ask.
I do, but I don't post a ton on it. A lot of them, the videos on there were like audition videos for stuff from school. But I'm hoping to get it started back up in the near future.
Yes.
But it's also Lila Rose music. So.
There you go. So there you go to our audience. She's going to start I'm putting a lot of pressure on you now. You have to go now put a lot more content on your YouTube page because people are going to want it. Lila, thank you so much, and we really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me. This has been so great.
I wish you all the luck, and also congratulations again on the wedding.
This could be your lucky day. Oh yeah, you might take a picture, love, 'cause this could be your lucky day.